The Backstage Experience starts now. This week on The Backstage Experience, it's all things DC Comics as Superman himself, Henry Cavill, joins us on the show, along with Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman and the Batman's Robert Pattinson. Plus, we dive into our favorite DC Comics games and more. All on this week's episode of The Backstage Experience.
Welcome to the Backstage Experience. I'm John Simval.
I'm Dave Morales.
And this episode is all about DC Comics.
All right, John, people do ask, and I know, yes, you watching right there have asked, what is the difference between DC and Marvel?
So DC has Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Shazam.
Okay, and Marvel would be?
Spider-Man, the Hulk, Iron Man,
the Avengers.
The Avengers.
As a whole. Okay, so this episode is dedicated to all things DC Comics. There are a ton of stars from that universe that are stopping by. We have, for example?
Yeah, so Robert Pattinson, who plays the Batman, is joining us with Zoe Kravitz, who plays Catwoman. We have Henry Cavill as Superman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and Zachary Levi playing Shazam.
All right, those are all going to be stopping by this episode. You don't want to miss what's on the way. So, everybody knows video games are massive, and of course, we do gaming here on the Backstage Experience, and DC Comics has an entire library of video games that are specifically dedicated to the world of DC Comics. David Johnson, our gaming expert, tell us what that's all about.
It's DC Gaming Week, and we have plenty of selections for every fan of Batman, Superman, and Harley Quinn. First up is the multiplayer cooperative adventure game, Gotham Knights. The latest entry in the Batman gaming franchise is an action role-playing game, get this, without Batman. In Gotham Knights, you play as one of the 4 Bat family members, Batgirl, Nightwing, Robin, or Red Hood, and attempt to solve the mystery of Batman's sudden and mysterious death. Each character has their own unique playstyle and abilities, and it will take all 4 to not only keep Gotham safe, but to bring back Bruce Wayne. Gotham Knights is available on current generation Xbox and PlayStation consoles. A few years ago, Telltale Games, the creators behind the award-winning story-based Walking Dead games, decided to dive into the superhero world and take on the Dark Knight. Batman the Telltale series and Batman the Enemy Within are episodic story-driven games that recreate the mythos of Batman in an entirely new context. The 2 games feature a brand new story that holds new origins for various Batman villains, as well as gameplay that highlights the decisions that the player must make, both as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Batman the Telltale series and Batman the Enemy Within are available on previous generation Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation consoles. LEGO has also made their approach into the DC world by combining their fun and silly antics with the dark world of Batman. LEGO DC Supervillains is a LEGO-themed action-adventure platform game that specifically focuses entirely on the villains in the DC universe. The game features a 2-player cooperative multiplayer mode and follows the player's own customized character who has to take on the role of a hero after the Justice League has mysteriously disappeared. The former villains must now defeat a rival group of supervillains from another universe who are trying to establish their own control. LEGO DC Supervillains is available on PC and previous generation Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation consoles. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a new game from Rocksteady, the developers behind the multiple award-winning Batman Arkham Knight trilogy. Much like LEGO DC Supervillains, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League puts the villains at the center of the story, allowing the players to control each of the main characters from the Suicide Squad: Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, King Shark, and Harley Quinn. The game takes place 5 years after the events of Batman Arkham Knight and follows the Suicide Squad arriving in Metropolis, only to find out that Brainiac has invaded Earth and brainwashed the Justice League members, including Superman, Green Lantern, Flash, and Batman.
Since we are talking all things DC Comics this week on the Backstage Experience, Batman, I think, is on the top of the list of all those characters. Who is your favorite Batman?
It's Christian Bale. I mean, it's the Dark Knight. Yes. I mean, I know it's controversial. Everyone says Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was great. Robert Pattinson was fantastic as the Batman, but I just love the Dark Knight series so much. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I know it's controversial.
It is very controversial because mine happens to be Michael Keaton. I think Michael Keaton as the Batman, he is the Batman.
You asked my favorite, not the best, but yes, my favorite.
Okay, well, my favorite is Michael Keaton. Then who's the best? I didn't know
Michael Keaton.
Michael. Okay, well, there we go.
Yeah.
We agree on that one. You did mention Robert Pattinson, and we have him this week on the Backstage Experience talking about playing the Batman, Robert Pattinson, right now on the Backstage Experience.
All these years, you lied to me, Alfred. We all have our scars, Bruce. You're still away.
I will start off by saying, Zoe, it is great to see you again. And
Nice to see you.
Rob, I can't believe this is the first time that you and I have ever actually talked. So,
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I want to ask you, Rob, you're going to get the first question. Who is the first person that you told when you were cast?
God, I can't believe I haven't even thought of this already. I think it must have been my mum and dad. I think that has to have been the first person. I also had to keep it incredibly secret as well when it first happened. So I was kind of, I think pretty much that was the only. But I mean, it took weeks when I got so many texts when the news first came out, but I didn't even reply to half of them. And so like, I kind of was still getting texts about a month later, kind of, wait, are you actually?
Seriously though, are you Batman?
Yeah.
I love to hear about the secretness, you know, how secret, you know, this process is. Zoe, first person you told when you were cast.
I think my mother and father, for sure.
And what was their reaction? I actually know your dad
you-
from the radio days. I want to know what their reaction was.
You know, they were both so excited. You know, they knew that I had been, you know, going through this process of auditioning and screen testing and all of that. So we were kind of all holding our breath, hoping it would go our way. So yeah, we were all celebrating together.
These are iconic characters. I don't need to tell you about that. Rob, what was the biggest challenge, you know, making this character your own?
I mean, I think the script from first read felt, I mean, it had made some pretty dramatic changes from the kind of Batman canon. So you knew you were in a different world. And also my first conversation with Matt Reeves, he was like, before I'd even read the script, he was like, so I'm thinking it's like Kurt Cobain is one of the main influences. And I was like, okay. So before I'd even read the script, I kind of had that in my mind. And then when I saw it, and they've got this "Something in the Way" song playing right at the beginning, it's very evocative. And there's like that, and the first time I heard Michael's score, Giacchino's score, it felt like it was hopeful, but there was a kind of pressure on it. It was forlorn, and it kind of reflected in the way I wanted to play it, where it was like he doesn't really know what kind of hero he is really, and yeah. So I guess kind of it was in the script. That's a long way of going around that.
Did you hurt anybody with those nails? Man, I zeroed in on your nails.
Mostly myself.
Yeah.
I mostly hurt myself with the nails. Washing my face, doing like normal activities, trying to put on pants and scratching myself. Yeah, I was the first victim.
Coming up, Henry Cavill joins us to share what it's like to wear the iconic Superman costume. Only on the Backstage Experience.
Welcome back to the Backstage Experience, a special episode. We're talking all things DC Comics. All right, now I know we've got Henry Cavill coming up in just a couple of minutes. I have to say something though, John.
Go for it.
Henry Cavill and I have the same birth date, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and I've talked to him about this. I mentioned it to him.
Actually, let's play the clip right here.
Last time we spoke, I didn't even realize that we have the same birth date, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo.
We do?
We do.
No way.
Yes, May 5th. I'm a May 5th kid. So there you go.
Hey, brother.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, I should have mentioned that. And I was going through the notes for this film, and I'm like, whoa, May 5th. So do people always like Cinco de Mayo? I'm in Texas, so.
In the US they do,
Yeah.
but actually probably not in all of the US actually, but nowhere else in the world.
We'll come down to
Except
Texas.
for Mexico.
Come down to Texas. We celebrate our birthdays
Right.
in a big way.
Okay.
See, Our birthday is a celebration. What else about Henry Cavill, though? I think he's the perfect Superman.
I think he is the best Superman. Christopher Reeves obviously was phenomenal as that character. But there's something about Henry Cavill that just embodies Superman, and the way he's chiseled and everything, he looks like he's a walking action figure.
All right, we've got more with Henry Cavill talking Superman right here on the Backstage Experience.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
Hey man, you've got the best job. I mean, every kid, including me, dressed as Superman. My costume was horrible as a kid. It was just like a little red sheet, you know, and running around.
That's the way to do it.
Well, but
what's on the inside that makes Superman, not the outside?
You're too kind, but you really are Superman, and you did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
How does that make you feel?
It feels good that you thought I did a fantastic job. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to represent Superman and his early development stages, which is what we're presenting in this movie, as accurately as I can and as true and honest to the character.
Is there any pressure to play an iconic figure? I mean, Superman is just, everybody knows Superman.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But I don't like to think of it as pressure. I like to think of it more as responsibility. Pressure's going to mess with your head, where responsibility is something which I've wanted in my life, and it just makes it seem like a better thing to go through. You're setting an example as such.
What about the costume? What do we need to know about the costume? Because you look great, man. But I know, like Wonder Woman, she couldn't breathe and she couldn't go to the restroom. Is there something about the Superman costume that we should know?
Well, I worked very hard at speaking with Michael Wilkerson before we started developing the new version of the suit, and this one has a zipper.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can go to the bathroom whenever I so choose.
What about the training for this role?
Training was intense, even longer than last time. I trained with Mark Twight, who trained me on Man of Steel, for 4 months during the Man from U.N.C.L.E. shooting. And then after that, I was handed over to Michael Blevins, and during pre-production for 6 months, I trained with him. And so, yeah, I almost tripled the training time overall to achieve what I achieved on this job. And it was fun, rewarding, hard work, but rewarding.
All right, let's talk about the fight scene, because that in itself, the film is amazing, but I've been telling everybody that I can't say it, not out in public, but I'm like, you wait till you see this fight scene. It's just mind-blowing. Talk about the filming of that one.
You know what? It took a long time. Non-consecutive days spread over about 5 months, and it was great to begin with. It was awesome because it was Midwestern summer, hot. I was wearing the suit in a studio. They switched all the rain on. Awesome. Nice and chilled. However, by the time we got to shooting the last day of that, it was Midwestern winter, outside in Detroit, with a rain machine. Not so good.
My father believed if the world found out who I really was, they'd reject me. He was convinced that the world wasn't ready. What do you think?
What's the S stand for?
It's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Well, here it's an S. How about
Excuse me.
You have to agree, Henry Cavill is a fantastic Superman, and we're so excited to have him on the show. All right, coming up.
Who's next, Dave?
Wonder Woman! Gal Gadot. You step right into that. She's on the way. Stick around. You want to hear what Wonder Woman herself, Gal Gadot, has to say. Coming up right after the break, right here on a special DC Comics edition of the Backstage Experience.
I feel like I'm the luckiest girl alive. It's a dream. It's the role of my dreams.
Only on the Backstage Experience.
Welcome back to the Backstage Experience. Wonder Woman herself, Gal Gadot, is joining us on the show. And Dave, Gal Gadot is a real-life Wonder Woman.
That's right. She served time in the Israeli army, and she's tough. We've done many interviews. Matter of fact, we'll take you backstage with the story right now, where she was actually injured from filming Wonder Woman.
That's right.
And she still showed up for the interviews. I am a massive fan of hers.
Me too. And this is what she had to say about playing Diana Prince as Wonder Woman.
I used to want to save the world. This beautiful place. But the closer you get, the more you see the great darkness within. I learned this the hard way, a long, long time ago.
Hi!
Wonder Woman! You did the thing.
Of course, I always do it. Every morning. Good morning, Gal. Good morning, husband. Good morning, Alma. Yeah, that's our thing.
How does it make you feel to be that iconic character, play that role?
Amazing. I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity that was given to me. But honestly, I feel like I'm just a vessel who's communicating this universal, big, inspiring story. But I feel like I'm the luckiest girl alive. It's a dream. It's the role of my dreams.
You know, it's a strong female character that I think girls can look up to. Do you take on that responsibility and think about that when you're...
I'm a mother.
Oh.
I have a 4-year-old daughter who has this amazing imagination and she loves princesses. And I see that all she admires is princesses. And then one day she came to me and we were watching a movie, and then she said, "Oh, Mommy, the prince is always so strong and courageous." And then I said, what do you think about the princes? And she said, "Nah." I said, "Why do you say about that?" And she still admires them. And then I said, "Why do you say that?" And she said, "Well, the princess, she always falls asleep, and then the prince arrives, and he saves her life, and da-da-da-da-da. She does nothing." So I'm happy, not to say thrilled, that we're bringing this character back to life. I think she's so inspiring. I think it's so important for boys and girls and boys to have her to look up to.
I got to talk about the costume.
Let's talk about the costume.
You wore that. Wow.
Thank you.
But were there any challenges? I just took a picture. They had the prop over here, and I'm looking at it close up thinking, wow.
Look, it's heavy.
Okay.
Okay. I can't really use the restroom whenever I want to, because then it's a whole half an hour thing to put it back on. And but I love it. It's amazing. It's practical. I can move a lot in it. The first time I tried it, it was super tight. It was like I could not breathe in that. And right before I passed out, they noticed that. I didn't say anything because they just cast me, and 2 days later they made me try on the costume, and then it was too tight. I didn't want to say anything because I was like, no, I'm not going to say anything. I'm so thankful for them to give me this opportunity. Never mind. They adjusted it, and I love it. I love everything about her. I have no complaints because I'm so thankful, and I love it.
Do you get to borrow it for Halloween? I would. Well, not me as
I
Wonder
want
Woman,
to, but Ben
yeah.
said I thought we were gonna get to keep it, but and Ben thought the same thing, but then he said that they would not let us keep it because it's too expensive.
Haters.
Right?
How can a woman possibly fight in this?
Fight? We use our principles, although I am not opposed to engaging in a bit of fisticuffs should the occasion arise.
Shazam! Zachary Levi joins us on the Backstage Experience next to give us a masterclass on the right way to say Shazam! Only on the Backstage Experience.
All right, thanks so much for joining us on this special edition of the Backstage Experience, talking all things DC Comics. I think we've taught everybody everything there is to know.
We have.
So the big question, though, DC Comics versus Marvel, in your opinion?
I would say DC Comics is better at the animated films, and they have a darker, grittier tone, whereas Marvel films, They're big, they're huge blockbusters, and they really can't be beaten.
All right, so ask me, DC versus Marvel. Ask me.
DC versus Marvel.
Yes, all right. And so before we go, Zachary Levi is going to tell us the proper way to say it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Shazam! Is there a proper way to say Shazam? And if so, how many? You're smiling. Because it seems like, I know it's just Shazam, but you're the expert, you're the pro. I mean, do you practice it? How did you know when you got it down?
No, no, I don't practice it. I don't practice it. I don't know. It's just every time I say it, it's slightly different because I might, I don't have to say it loud for it to work. You just have to say it for it to work, right? And sometimes you're really yelling it out, being like, "We'll tell you something." It's very, exclamatory. Is that a word? I think it is. So yeah, I don't know. I think you just got to mean it when you say it. That's all.
When you're in full costume and you are portraying this character, what do you feel? I mean, it's every boy's dream to be a superhero.
It's super cool, man. I mean, listen, for an actor, wardrobe is a huge part of how you feel and embody a character. And then have these scenes that are so wonderfully written by Henry Cavill and directed by David Sandberg and acted with this incredible, group of actors that are also so committed to inhabiting their characters, and we all get to play make-believe together. Make-believe and dress up. And it is so much fun.